Welcome to Chair-isma, the podcast for Vistage Chairs who want to lead with intention. I'm your host, Francine Lasky, and in each episode we unlock game-changing insights from our fascinating peers. Our guest today, Michele Barry, gives us great insight into challenging yourself and your members to be their best. As a chair, it's time to stop warming up. If your members are still playing whack-a-mole with the same problems surfacing time after time, they're not leading, they're just kicking the ball down the field and hoping no one notices there's no goal in sight. As my favorite soccer coach Ted Lasso says, taking on a challenge is like riding a horse. If you're comfortable, you're probably doing it wrong. Let's listen to Michele. Welcome to Chair-isma. Today we have Michele Barry. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? It's great to see you.
Let's dive into why do you do this work?
So I play a lot of sports, and in the playing of a lot of sports, I'm in locker rooms with a lot of people who by and large are employees. Like most employees everywhere that you read about, when you get the Gallup, 75 to 80% of employees are disengaged at work, blah, blah, blah. But it's worse than that, because the stories they tell are not just of boring jobs or unhealthy cultures. The worst of the stories are downright and emotionally, if not literally physically abusive, right? A huge chunk of that 75 to 80% feel in some way, shape, or form abused at work. To me, that is a criminal waste of humanity. And I believe that if I can help leaders and managers become better leaders who create better organizations, then that is my little contribution to humanity. Because frankly, I've met hundreds, if not thousands of leaders and managers over the nearly 20 years I've been doing this with Vistage. I've never met any of them who go to work every day with the objective of making their employees' lives miserable. Not one. They all want to be doing a really good job. They all believe they're doing the best they know how to do. And yet, the best they know how to do fails their employees overwhelmingly, unless and until they really become intentional about learning and growing and becoming better leaders who can create better organizations and get significantly better, not only business results, but human results, right? And that's why I do what I do.
I could not agree with you more. When I got my why at Vistage Academy, mine was, I can save the world one small business at a time, because I truly do believe innovation can happen at the small business level. It's the only place that it can really happen in how we treat each other better, right? And
if you want to encapsulate it in a little, I can help improve humanity one leader at a time.
Absolutely.
Right?
If I asked your members what they thought your superpower was, what would they tell me?
They would say that it's the ability to sort of think across a lot of different frameworks and time horizons, right? So I'm very good strategically and big picture and long term, and yet can also be very, very good in the short term, tactical, very detailed. The other thing my members know is that I approach them and their circumstances judgment free, right? I love them and accept them in a judgment-free way.
Would you say that's what you would call your own superpower?
So I would say it's whatever is the Venn diagram intersection of curiosity, courage, and compassion.
Beautiful. I love a good Venn diagram. So
I'm Venn diagram oriented. But I don't have a word for the union of the Venn diagram intersection of those three things.
There's something we need to name. What is that? What's one way that you've improved your leadership skills recently?
I think constantly about how I'm performing as a leader and read all the time and try to learn. So I'm actively and consciously working on it every day. I was just on a webinar with somebody who had a phenomenal way of, in a couple of sentences, getting to the heart of something And so I want to,
yeah,
give that some thought, because being able to do that and do that well is, I think, an important leadership skill, right? It's communication.
Will you share with us what that was, or at least the beginning of the thought?
I work with leaders on their own leadership development using the leadership circle profile and a methodology called Mind Shift. And so she had a quick means of enlisting people in engaging with her. And it was, do good intentions keep failing you? Is trying harder simply not working? It is a myth that if you're unable to change, you must not want it bad enough. Willpower alone is not sufficient. Your current habits are held in place by your mindset, your beliefs about how the world works and how you need to show up. Efforts to change this outer game won't stick if you don't have the inner game to support it. So, if you've been trying to change your outer game and you're not getting the traction you want, you could keep trying. Or you could stop planting seeds of good efforts and intentions in soil that's not prepared to sustain them. Mind Shift focuses on changing your inner game. It is a process of transformation which can't be rushed, but you can jumpstart it. She was creating a pilot program to help people discover the inner game driving their outer game and limiting their end game. Her name is Melissa Mitchell-Blitch, and it was great. She gave us all permission to basically take her script and use it. But it's more the elements of the script that I think are really compelling. For example, I know I'm a speaker on the persuasion code. And what we know in the persuasion code is that a good grabber wakes up the primal brain so that it can pay attention. And the opening of this is a really good grabber. A couple of questions. Do good intentions keep failing you? Is trying harder simply not working? Right? So what am I trying to grab people to do? What are my good couple of questions? Right? Then a couple of fact statements. And, never, ever, ever in this is she going into the mind-numbing details of what the program is. That can be sent in a follow-up email. This is all about engaging people and enlisting people in whatever it is that that you're trying to do. If you don't have followers, you don't get to do what you want to lead, right? So how do you enlist followers? How do you encapsulate your message such that they want to follow you very, very quickly? Right.
So interesting. And I love how you're thinking about it from both at two different levels, right? Like kind of the meta level and the surface level, right? I'm fascinated by the meta level of what chairs do, because I think as a newer chair, right? I've been doing this now 5 years. I'm just getting it's not about the text, right? Like it's all the other stuff going on, right? And for me, that's a fascinating transition. So I'd be interested from your perspective, what do you have to teach me about watching the subtext, the story behind the story?
When you're caught up in learning the technical elements of the content, the text, you can't get to the meta level or the subtext, because you've got to have enough comfort and enough fluidity and fluency at that level that you can do that without a lot of effort, because our brains work much more quickly than what's going on in the room around us. When you're still learning how to manage the dialogue and activity, the part of your brain that would be meta processing is devoted to managing that dialogue and activity. So you have to get to a certain level of, if you will, technical competence in order to then be able to begin to think out ahead of it.
It's kind of Malcolm Gladwell's, Outliers, 10,000 hours, right? Like
a bit, yeah.
Like exactly. you have to master the fundamentals in order to get the deeper level. Right?
Exactly. Right. So I played sports. I play soccer and I play ice hockey. And in soccer, for example, if you cannot accurately and effortlessly make and receive passes, control the ball, no matter how it's delivered to you, it doesn't matter how well you might understand the strategy of the game or the positions people play, because you're still locked up and you can't technically execute things. And for as long as you can't technically execute things, that's all that matters. No matter how well you may think about the game, it is a moot point unless you can't execute for your teammates.
Absolutely. What tips would you give to chairs to get your head in that right space?
So in terms of managing the room, I would say the KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Don't over orchestrate it. I've seen a lot of new chairs that are very devoted to their preparation on their agendas and their exercises and all of this. That's a lot of work. Unless you're running an emerging leaders group, we're not running workshops. We're not teachers. We are facilitators of an experience, the creators of an experience. We need to learn how to create the experience and build members who will work with you and one another to bring that experience to life. So you don't have to have a minute by minute, moment by moment agenda, right? If you do, you will end up getting stomach churns from the extent to which that agenda isn't happening, because it won't happen most of the time.
Or you'll miss out on the moments that are important.
Exactly.
Because you're trying to control the situation, right? It's a control issue. And
exactly.
And I'm learning, right? Like that it's, you let it go, right? I love your perspective though, about that. Our job is an experience, right? I think that that's such an interesting perspective. It's joy and it's connection and all the other things that people come to the meeting for.
Now, there are chairs just phenomenally organized. And then there are chairs, all we do is check in and all the issues flow from there. In between is this whole spectrum of chairing. And in that spectrum of chairing, you have to find your sweet spot. But I think that one of the challenges is how to find a sweet spot that is not overly constraining.
I'd like to dive deeper into how do you achieve those moments? You say you kind of you leave room for them, but do you have any tools that you use in order to excavate them, to have people make that connection, to have people really listen to each other?
So if you're a newer chair, you just want to refresh things. I love, love, love Bob Dabbick's deep issue processing Iceberg. I love that tool and that framework. Now, not every issue requires a deep dive into the leader's fundamental belief systems. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, right? Every single problem or challenge or success or opportunity that any business has is a manifestation of the leader's strengths and weaknesses. Right? It's a manifestation of who they are as leaders, because frankly, I would not have problem A. If I were great at solving problem A, it wouldn't even come up, right? Problem A only exists because I'm not great at solving problem A, right? If I were great at solving problem A, I would never see problem A in my company. I would only see problem B.
Yep.
And so the reason that the iceberg is so important to get to when the situations arise is that who one is as a leader is creating the challenges one has in one's organization. So those challenges are the manifestation of your leadership and your strengths and your beliefs. So if you never get at those underlying strengths and those beliefs and the leader's paradigm for leadership, the leader's paradigm for how life works and who they are and how they need to be, then you're only ever going to play business problem whack-a-mole, right? You're only ever going to be whacking at the business problems that their particular belief system brings up and that their particular sets of strengths and weaknesses brings up. And you can whack them dutifully, and a lot of groups do. It can be very short-term satisfying to play business problem whack-a-mole. It's really satisfying to pound the crap out of those moles. Every time they pop up, bam, and there's another bam, right? But long-term, you never get anywhere, right? You put another quarter in, you're still whacking the same damn moles, right? They come up again and again and again. And it's always the same moles popping up for the same reason, because you fed the machine, right? You have to fundamentally change the machine, play a different game. And so I always think of it as, if you could overcome the current level of problems, what kind of problem do you want to have? Because most members join Vistage groups and they have very business 101 type problems. They don't know how to run their business is running them. They don't know how to set goals and achieve them. They don't know how to execute. They're struggling they need to feel more confident that they can depend on their cash and they can depend on their profitability. And that's great. You have to get, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have to get through that baseline. But the purpose of getting through that baseline is not so that you can in perpetuity solve baseline problems. It's so that you can get to higher order problems. And what problems are they there to solve? Why are they running a business? It's not just to make money, because there's other ways to make money. You don't have to run a business to make money. Running a business is very, very hard, right? It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. There are JOBs that will pay people. They don't have to run businesses, right? And so there's something that compels them to do what they do. What is it? What's the difference they're trying to be or make or have in their world, in their lives? What is it? And if we get the business past some of those fundamental levels of existence, then we can solve problems that are much more profound and much more interesting for the business to solve. They can make the difference they want to make in the world if they can get past the baseline of how do I run a good business, right? And so that's why, to me, that's why it's so important that we get to the Bob Dabbick, deep issue processing life, iceberg, because that's what's going to get us to solving the more important problems.
Beautiful. What a lovely, nuanced answer for how that occurs. I'm interested on frequency. Does every meeting go that deep for you? Or is there times where it's more brainstorming or it's more advice or referrals or whatever that is for you?
No, meetings they don't necessarily all go that deep. And they vary. Certainly the most satisfying meetings are when something more profound happens. But at the same time, sometimes people need just basic fundamental help on, I'm making an acquisition. I've never acquired a company before. How do I do that and do it well? Well, that's, that may not be a deep, profound question, but it is absolutely essential that we answer it and answer it well. And everybody will learn from that. And that also builds trust and knowledge in the group, right? So it's not that everything is, a deep, wrenching issue, but every meeting is a tremendous opportunity to connect and give and receive help and learn and grow. And I will tell you, Francine, every single meeting, every single one, every member arrives with the exact same thought, which is, oh my God, I don't have time for this. How am I going to do this meeting today? Every single member, every single meeting. And every single member, every single meeting, by the end of the meeting is, oh my God, I don't want to leave. Right?
I get that. I get that so many times going, when I walked in here this morning, I'm like, when can I get out to make that call? There's no way I can afford to spend this time here. I am so glad I was here today.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it's for themselves. They got an answer, but I love it even more when they go, I am so glad I was here for you, for somebody else in the group. Right. That's so much more even satisfying to say you wouldn't have gotten where you needed to go without me here in the room. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, so you've hinted on this, but I'm interested to say, how do you, and it's you, not your members, how do you measure success in your group?
That they keep coming and they don't want to leave, and that they try things, that they try to make changes in their organizations, right? Because I don't want to have just a club of buddies.
Yeah.
Right? I like to grow. I want to grow things. I want to see them grow things. I have had members in the past that sometimes I'm just like, dude, go away for 6 months and let me do it.
Yeah.
But, but that's never the option, right? To me, there's nothing more frustrating than somebody who shows up and tries nothing. Right. And that frustrates the other members too, because they're like, we don't need to waste our time talking with this person about how they could improve, how they could learn and grow, only for them to never do anything. Right.
For sure.
So, I want members who will try things to help themselves learn and grow.
What are the books, podcasts, TED Talks, things that you recommend? You said you're a research junkie. I'll limit you and just say very best, top of class things that you're recommending people read or look at or absorb.
Honest to God, I read hundreds of books a year. I really do. And every single day I look at the headlines. I use the Adfonts media bias chart to help me understand the sources and what their slants are, because I like to get different perspectives on things. If I don't find something in multiple sources, then I don't trust it. I'll read things like, I love the historian Heather Cox Richardson's work because she cites her sources, and you can take it from a history professor. They know how to cite their freaking sources, right? She's got like MLA formatted citations for her sources. She's like, smack on.
Did you hear the interview that Brene Brown did with her on her podcast?
Yes, I did.
Oh, I was glued. It was a driveway moment for sure.
Yeah.
Like I could not, and I had to stop every once in a while to just think about it for a minute.
Yeah.
Like the talk about Venn diagrams, the Venn diagram of today, history, sociology, all of the things together, like blew my mind.
So that's why, and I love, there's almost no topic I don't love to learn about. I love art. I love history. I love music. I love drama. Because you never know how the things that you learn about can come together. So I have a very open and voracious appetite for learning just about anything, because you just never know how it's going to inform and come together with other things.
So I'm going to take your favorite sport is which? Soccer. What's your intersection of soccer and Vistage?
If you're only playing the game when it's happening, you're missing the game. You can't be playing defense. Defense can keep the opponent from scoring, but it's not going to win you a game. At best, you're going to get a draw, right? You have to have offense. You have to go out. You have to make things happen. You have to challenge. You have to push. It's pushing forward. It's pushing into the opponent's side. It's pushing into your offensive third of the field. It's being on the front foot, pushing the gas, putting on the press, recovering as soon as they get the ball. You press and recover quickly. It's also, you can see the best players. Not only do they have the technical soundness that however the ball comes, they're just masterful in controlling it and delivering it. And they are many steps ahead. If you ever watch Lionel Messi play soccer, he is so ahead of the game. He has figured out, he spends the first 10 to 15 minutes of a game basically standing still, observing the opponents and how they play. And then he spends the rest of the game dissecting the crap out of them so they lose, right? Because once he's figured it out, he's like, okay, here's how to beat them, right? And so it's players like that, they see the play many steps ahead. In a game like soccer, you've got 10 teammates on the field with you. They all have their own ideas. And you've got 11 opponents on the field against you, and they all have their own ideas as well, right? So it's a more complex set of circumstances, which I think is more akin to business circumstances, right? They're more complex. Business is not a 1v1 game, right? It's a multiplayer experience, right?
For sure.
So to me, it's sort of the complexity, the strategy, the technical expertise. To me, it translates very, very well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for really going deep on a lot of issues today. I appreciate your perspective and for taking the time to do this.
You're welcome.
Wow. We went really deep on this one. Michele made some great sports analogies. Until you know the rules and you've done your reps, your brain can't have the bandwidth for deeper strategy. I realized I don't have to over-orchestrate my meetings to be impactful. I need to let go of the need to control and instead design for responsiveness. I just finished an amazing course in facilitation that agrees with Michele. It taught me my job is to create experiences. We're not just filling time. We're not just solving problems. We're curating how people engage with each other. A well-designed meeting has a spine, not a script. it can flex. Thanks, Michele, for a great discussion. You can find all of the show notes and links for all the episodes of Chair-isma at francinelasky.com/Chair-isma.